Hi, Cancer. Welcome to your January 2021 Astro Update. It's Rena here. There's a lot of energy in the seventh and eighth houses for you this month. And this is actually going back to December because that great conjunction that was between Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius fell in your eighth house, and this is a house that Scorpio rules that is all about the area of intimacy for you and another person. And what does that mean for your life? This can be the house for some people of metaphysics, the occult, so astrology and the tarot. And if there are, like for instance, when we get into February and there's a new moon there, you may start some kind of new course or something. But Jupiter and Saturn are there. So there are going to be issues. The eighth house can be other people's money. And how does that play into things? Jupiter can mean more financial assistance from other people, or if you are married, have a partner, they have some kind of financial gain that because of your association with them, you benefit from as well. Shared resources, in other words, the eighth house. Now, Saturn can be a time of paying debts, perhaps being more cautious with borrowing money, maybe paying back what you owe versus getting new money. And perhaps the Jupiter, it's not like they're canceling each other out, but maybe because Jupiter is there, you will have more money so that you can pay back debts. That some people might say, oh, that's not very exciting. I want to have money for myself, but maybe you can have both. So Jupiter and Saturn can work very well here in terms of securing your future, in terms of maybe organizing finances, areas that you're overextended, where you have borrowed money. So this can also be for businesses and things like that, and even sometimes for securing loans. But like I said, with Saturn there, perhaps it isn't as easy, but maybe in the 11th hour, when you need it the most, you get what you need. So on the 6th of the month, Mars goes into Taurus. So Mars has been in Aries, and Aries is a fellow cardinal sign. And this is your 10th house of career, Aries. And so now we have Mars going into this more social sector, the 11th house. And this can be, really getting active with some sort of cause. So the 11th house can be the humanitarian causes that you're involved with, for instance. Not to say that this has to be, but it can be. Another element of the 11th house are your friendships. And Mars here, sometimes there can be conflicts with friends. Maybe you're butting heads with somebody that you normally get along with. I would say, now this is an interesting take, if I do say so myself. I don't know if other people would agree with me, but because Jupiter and Saturn have entered that eighth house, maybe some Cancer people have been having a spiritual awakening already. Because why would I say this? A few years ago, you had eclipses in this area, along with the second house, with Leo and Aquarius axis. And therefore, that may have paved the way for a new outlook on life, maybe a new belief system versus more conventional. Aquarius is very out there, and Jupiter is aligned with things that have to do with religion. So if you've gotten more into that kind of ESP. I never hear people saying ESP anymore, but the extrasensory perception or something to do with mediumship. I don't know. Eighth house is the dead. Maybe it could be talking to the dead. But the point is something intuitive, and you're kind of shying away from some of the relationships that you have had that have been more conventional, and you're really getting immersed in this. It might cause conflict with friends who say, "Why are you into that crap? That's weird," and then you realize that you're kind of going in different directions. Maybe there's some kind of a conflict with that. It doesn't have to be. It might just be that you're very active with these people. And then on the 8th, Mercury goes into Aquarius. So Mercury, for the first week of January, is in Capricorn in that seventh house. And by the way, the seventh house, in addition to being marriage and those kinds of, committed partnerships, can also be legal affairs. I was just watching another astrologer the other day mentioning the ninth house as legal matters. And this person probably, I know has a lot more experience than I do, so maybe I should defer to them. But I have to believe that the seventh house are the actual legal affairs, and the ninth house is the law itself. Just like the ninth house is kind of religious laws, if you will, organized religion, the dogma of organized religion, it stands to reason that in terms of law, it would be the actual laws on the books that we can look up and cite and use to defend our behavior. So to me, Mercury in the seventh can be something to do with a contract, a legal contract. Some of you have gotten divorced or are in the process of it. The reason I say this, and this isn't just for 2020, by the way, this has been an ongoing situation for Cancerians where you have had a heavy energy in the seventh house. Capricorn is your seventh. Of course, this is a general forecast for sun and rising Cancers. So the timing for when this is most appropriate for you or when you've been dealing with it is going to vary from Cancer person to Cancer person. But in general, because Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008, and then you also had Saturn there for a few years, and Saturn retrograded back into Capricorn in July. And now, like I said, Saturn is in Aquarius, so it is not in that sign anymore. But for some of you, it still is going to be in that seventh house because in January it's at a very low degree of Aquarius. So for some of you, Saturn is still in that seventh house, and it may be testing a committed partnership. So it is what it is. I will say that Venus will go into this seventh house on the same day that Mercury goes into Aquarius. So when on the 8th, Mercury goes into that 8th house, and this can be a great time. This is where the Mercury retrograde is going to occur at the end of the month. So this is really a great time for deep diving mentally in Scorpio's house about Aquarian types of topics. Astrology is a big one, but really deep diving. This can be great for anything to do with psychoanalysis, talking about your shadow, really reflecting, especially during the Mercury retrograde, about some of the issues that you have. Or when Mercury is direct, that self-inquiry where you are tracing the root of your thoughts. Because Cancer is a water sign, there is always the tendency to be a reactionary type of person where your emotions, trigger you, past memories come up for you. And the problem with this is that it can create a lot of subjectivity about anything that comes across your path that feels personal to you, that reminds you of something that you've dealt with. And the whole point of self-inquiry is to it's a way to detach, but it's a very ingenious way to detach because um it's very like logical in its intention, so you're not just feeling into something, but when you're thinking about it and you're breaking it down and saying, okay, where did this belief come from? Is it true? That's Byron Katie. And really kind of taking apart, dismantling these concepts that can make people feel unhappy is a great way to get to transcend them. And it's not about spiritual bypassing, it's actually about diving in feet first into those uncomfortable emotions. On the same day, Venus goes into the seventh house. And so Venus can be money. And that means that some kind of a legal matter can bring financial gain. It can be harmony with a love partner. And even if the two of you have parted ways, where you have some kind of a truce, you come to some kind of peace in your relationship, even if you're going separate ways. And if you're not going separate ways, and if you are happily coupled, this can just make your relationship, give it like a little injection of romantic influence. On the 13th, we have a new moon at 23 degrees of Capricorn. So this can be new developments for a relationship, and this can be something that you feel is very, it's like things going into a new direction. I was making the point that there's going to be a conjunction with this new moon and transiting Pluto. So that is that sense of empowerment. And I would say in this particular context, with it being in your seventh house, Cancer, that this could be a situation where you are feeling this sense of you like having an understanding in your relationship so that you feel that you don't have to give up your own self in order to have a happy marriage, happy relationship. Now that I think about it, as I record this, it's right before the full moon in Cancer on the 29th and 30th of December. And so this may be the time when, I'm saying this in the future because that's when it is, during the Cancer full moon, where you can see how you have allowed yourself to kind of self-destruct. If, a lot of you, this is going to be in the 12th house. But for those early degree Cancers, that this full moon is going to be in the first house of the self, it will be opposing the sun in the seventh house. So for those who have basically good relationships, you can still see how to make it better. And who knows, maybe in some cases, you're going to have to be the one who makes most of the changes. Maybe it shines a spotlight on yourself and you admit, I'm to this or to that, and I need to be more like that. And I really want my partner to feel blah, blah, blah. I don't want to be this kind of person who is just being self-centered. And not saying that you would be, it's not intentional. And I don't think that a lot of Cancer individuals are so self-absorbed that they don't care about other people. But I do think that a lot of Cancers tend to, be emotionally, in some of the more extreme cases, needy. And in other cases, they're so almost aggressive about getting their needs met that it can cause the other person to push back or resist. And so understanding that dynamic and learning how to get your needs met in a way that doesn't push somebody else away might come into play here. On the 14th, I found this very interesting. We have Uranus direct at 6 degrees of Taurus, forming in conjunction with the transiting Mars at 6 degrees of Taurus. So that can feel like a lot of freedom, desire for freedom. And this, again, is in this area of friendships and groups and even like some of the goals that have to do with the collective. So I think that it's, as strange as this may sound, I think sometimes that Cancer people, if they have Aquarius, because I've joked about this before about two people who get together and one's a Cancer and one's an Aquarius, and how what an odd couple that would be. But even within yourself, if you're somebody who has the sun in Cancer and you have the moon in Aquarius, I think that you can have some kind of understanding, even between these two disparate types of influences, because Aquarius rules the 11th house and is all about humanitarian affairs, and Cancer is a very caring sign. So there may be something, with Mars in this 11th house that has to do with creating a utopia of sorts. I know that's not going to apply for a lot of you, but definitely like activism, political concerns, trying to make the world a better place. But there's a freedom here, like wanting to break free from something. So I don't know if this would have to do with your social network or what, but also if you are somebody who has been getting involved in new agey types of subjects like astrology and stuff, there may be like a strong push to connect with others, like-minded people. Maybe online, because the 11th house can be connected to the internet. And you could be becoming quite active there with Mars there. On the 19th, the sun goes into Aquarius. The sun's going into the 8th house. And just really becoming in that sense of like looking at yourself from a deep level. I really think that this is a time for you, Cancer, where you're going to really start to look at some of your patterns, your obsessions, addictions. This can all be 8th house, and this is positive energy with the sun here. It's being brave about it. It's not being afraid. If you've had a death, the 8th house is death. If there has been a death in your life, in the last few years especially, that has been very difficult, that healing that the sun can bring in this house. On the 28th, we have a full moon at 9 degrees of Leo. Leo is the sign after you, so this is the second house of earned income. So, is there money that is coming to you that is owed to you? Maybe there's a breakthrough with some kind of, if you've been having a side business, or maybe you just started a business and it's everything that you do, but you hasn't really caught on yet. Maybe this is when you start to see a profit. This can also be getting a raise at work, because this is the area of the money that you earn. Now, if you are of retirement age, you might be ending the weekly paycheck and going for the pension or Social Security or whatever, and getting that instead. But some kind of a change, something coming to culmination with finances. Even like coming up with a great idea, creative idea for financial gain. And then on the 30th, we have a Mercury retrograde at 26 degrees of Aquarius, and this is in that eighth house, and it can be like a time of Mercury retrogrades can be research. The eighth house can be research, but Mercury retrograde can really do that because you're going over something. Now, I didn't mention this, but one of the things when it's shared resources, it can be a will. So if there has been anything in your life that has been connected to an estate matter, Cancer, there might be something where you might have signed a document, and that might have been earlier in the month, and then they say not so fast or something like that. So be prepared that you might have to do something over again, or that more information comes into your awareness. I would even, I don't know if I've ever heard this interpretation, but I wouldn't be surprised if Mercury retrograde in the eighth house could be contacting somebody who has crossed over. Mercury retrogrades can bring somebody from your past into your present, and you might hear from them again. But in the eighth house, it might be hearing from somebody, not necessarily from a past life, maybe it's from this lifetime, but somebody who has crossed over. You have some kind of supernatural, visit or communication with them. So that's the other thing I could think. On that note, I'm going to leave it there. I hope that you enjoyed this, Cancer. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. Have a great month. Take care. Bye.